They're going great, aren't they? We're a couple of minutes away, folks, so we're restarting in about 2 minutes, okay? One more out of the Hayes family band, and then we'll be back to get restarted. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Hayes family band.
Legends.
They're ready.
How was that?
I tell you what, how about can we give a shout out to Lion for putting Mount Difficulty on the tables? I've only just discovered that now on the break. How good, huh? And the whole Ascot team, how about they've done a fantastic job once again, folks. They're knocking on 400 of us here tonight. So how about you put your hands together for all of the team at the Ascot Park Hotel, eh?
In fact, I've got something to add to that. It's a pretty exciting time here at the Ascot Park Hotel, and I'm going to need your assistance here, Room, because yesterday was the executive manager of the Ascot Park Hotel, Dean. It was his birthday, and wait, it gets better. Today is the executive chef Greg's birthday, so I feel like we owe them a rousing chorus of happy birthday. Ready? Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday Dean and Greg, happy birthday to you. Hooray! Somebody said hip hip, I said hooray. Thanks team, I hope they enjoyed that. All right, it feels like we're beginning to settle down, and we should, because what we have next is an absolute delight. Our guest speaker tonight was one of the icons of Southland rugby in the early 2000s. Hale Tapole would end up playing 60 games on the side of the scrum for the Southland Stags after transferring south and making a very wise decision from Otago in 2000. He played for the Highlanders for 4 seasons and went on to play in Europe and Japan before returning home to finish his career in New Zealand, including his farewell season in Stags colours in 2013. But it is with his country of birth, Tonga, and his ongoing work on behalf of the Pacific nations where Hale has done his most notable work. This hard-nosed loose forward is now head of the Players' Union across the Pacific Rugby Players, and for the last 3 years has sat on the board of World Rugby's International Rugby Players Board. That is a pretty mean achievement. It's an absolutely incredible story of how that all came to be, and we are lucky to be able to hear it tonight. So please welcome up to the stage tonight's special guest, Hale Tapole.
You know, that's what I think this World Cup's about. A lot of the minnows have performed extremely well and, you know, have earned their place at the top table, without a doubt.
Finamaka. This is a last desperate attempt to get something on the board. Nililatu there. Little dummy. This should be a try. Well, Hale Tapole there sliding into the corner.
Oh, that's a try, I think. It's on the line before he hits the post. The line is the try line. Interesting, I thought Havili should have come inside because there's no one home.
5 metres out. Can they secure the ball? They lost the last one, remember? They've got it. And they're going to try the big Southland drive. Not having much luck at the moment.
They've got it up. Now they go. Now they go to the line. Yes! Hale Tapole. What a great moment for Hale Tapole.
Absolute scenes at Rugby Park. Put your hands together for our special guest, folks. What do I remember about that night, actually? At the park against the British and Irish Lions. What was that, 2005, I guess, was it?
I think so. Just the crowd, I think. The things that stands out the most was how they packed up the stadium. So hoping to see that in the near future at Rugby Park. It's always a good memories.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. Hey, so I want to talk about actually how you ended up here, because there's a good yarn. So right at the back of the room is Leicester Rutledge, right? So literally, this would be one of the great recruiting trips that Leicester could ever do. So he turns up in about, what year was it, mate? Was it 2000 or 99 or something like that? He comes literally knocking on your door in some dodgy, scarfy flat in Dunedin on a Sunday morning when you're a bit hazy anyway, and he comes and asks you to come and play for Southland. Is that how the story goes?
Yeah, Nick, I always I tell that story, and I've never actually asked Leicester this. How did he know? Knew that that's my flat, and I was living in there because.
Well, the bloke's here. We can get him up here and ask him actually if you want.
I've been in Dunedin, student life. You all know if you've got kids there, Saturday night and Sunday morning they go well together. So early morning Sunday, I was a bit dusty from a couple of beers, and Saturday I get a knock on the door. And but our flat, as all the flats in Dunedin, are normally open anyway. So the knock there, I come out, and there's Leicester standing in my flat, and everyone knows Leicester. He won't give you a massive speech. It was just straight up. Hey mate, I'm Leicester Rutledge from Rugby Southland. I'm pretty keen to have you down and play for the Stags. Are you keen? And I was like, mate, can we have a formal conversation about this? Because I was contract to Otago. I've just come from the New Zealand 20s, and I'm like, mate, I think I deserve a better conversation here with my agents. Anyway, long story. I said to Leicester, give me a week to talk to my agent, but the next day I rang him, mate, if you have someone come knocking on your door like that, regardless, I haven't known much about Leicester, but it shows his appreciations of where my rugby was, and with that 1 minute conversation, he sold me the dream, and then I picked up my stuff and moved down to Invercargill.
Good stuff. Hey, well done, mate. I'll give you the tip though. You're in good company on that trip because he brought Ben Herring down with you. He brought Brendan Timmins down with you. He brought Chris King down with you. He brought Luke Andrews down with you. He brought half the bloody Otago team with you as well too, actually. So that worked out quite well from a Southland point of view. So you got down here, and that was one thing. You came down as a lone player, and then dear old Laurie Mains decided to haul you back, I think, that season. But then you came down and actually signed. So what was it about, I guess, your experience in Southland that made you decide to come back on an official basis?
This might sound. I'm from my background and my family, and from Tonga, and there we and then in a character and trade that I live by about loyalty. And then by then I've come down and saw Leicester, Brownie, Murray Brown was there too. Just underdog status of rugby Southland and Chicago, and I felt way a part of this area where underdogs then being in Otago. So I just there's no way I was going to go back up. I think we went that year Leicester to play Otago and Queenstown on a friendly game, and we beat them. And then Otago was trying to get me back up, but by then I got the bug for the Chicago, so I just stayed down.
Tell me about coming to New Zealand though, right? Because I think, how old were you when you came? You were 18, I think, were you? Coming over here from a school point of view, and you could, the old English wasn't, you were literally learning English on the fly, I think, from what I've read, actually, when you came out from Tonga to New Zealand. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was on telly too, to take it easy, mate, because English is my second word tonight, so... Yeah, I was in Tonga, then somehow ended up at Wesley College for 1 year. But like many, I'm sure Tuapati here is still learning English. But we're all on the same boat here. The struggle is real for about 2 or 3 years. But I was fortunate enough, I came to school, so you learn English pretty fast. Everyone's speaking in English.
Mind you, you wanted to go home right away. Is that right?
Yeah, like everyone else, you get here, the weather, missing your parents. Or are you talking
Notice
about
how he
Chicago or talking about Wesley?
New Zealand generally. Notice how he put the weather first and missing the parents second, actually. Yeah. But quite a culture shock, which you actually now, I suppose, literally that's sort of the role that you fill, right? From a Players Association point of view, I guess it's helping Pacific Island players, manage that sort of transition into different areas, right?
Yeah, it's a daily fight to what I'm doing, but it comes back to my background. I was just listening to, Rex? Is it Rex from baseball? Yep. It's aligned a lot with what I'm doing, and it's when he spoke about coming from Yarrow Street, the baseball. And then, funny enough, when he's talked about, same as what he goes through, I go through a lot of those council meetings with World Rugby and everyone else, because the percentage of Pacific rugby players around the world is ridiculous. As you can just see, the ABs, all our Super Rugby team. But then you're always in meetings where someone's like, as Rex talked about, they make support us on this, try to catch you, excuse me, with the other word is everyone else in World Rugby is take from the islands. They're keen to take this players and feel like this, but when you talk about governance and that, they all try to sweep this under the carpet or something, and then it's always you enjoy, as Rick said, people buying you beers and you rahoo and say, yeah, I'll support that one, but then you get a good night out of them, but then you come out and the next morning and say, mate, I wasn't that drunk, mate.
So there's an incredible story, I guess, and quite a process that you went through to get to where you are. And you debut for Tonga in 2006, and you're playing for the country of your birth. But then I guess you realise that as a player, and you're in quite a different situation, obviously, playing for Southland, playing for the Highlanders as well. I guess you're seeing how some of your fellow players are being treated as well. And you, being of the high moral standing that you are, were one of the few that stood up. So most of your battles were with administrators back home in Tonga. So tell us a little bit about that, and I guess where that you started to ask questions, I guess, of administrators in your home country.
I think when you go back to the island, and I'll go back to tour, when you go back to the island and play for the islands, if you play Super Rugby and I-Team Cup, everyone in the island thinks you're better than Richie McCaw. And then they all look up to you because they know in your journey in there. But after a few years playing for Tonga, I just start picking up the governance and funding that are supposed to go to the players. Obviously, I'll play for Southland Stags, and not too much attention, but I've known there's NZRPA, they protect the players. And I just keep seeing shit not happening, and I'm like, I'm sure I heard that there's some funding coming from World Rugby that's supposed to be for our accommodations, but no, I'm sure there's sponsors to our jerseys and that, and I don't want to be a pain in the ass to the management and that, but I started going, mate, this is... Anyway, and also show you, I told the story where we played Fiji on the first test match, and the jersey number 6 I had, I ripped a bit on just on top of my jersey. But I knew that we've got sets of jerseys to present to every test match that you play. And they were like, yeah, just bring a jersey, get washed, we'll donate it to the island, and we've got new sets of jerseys. But just before that one, I could see what was going on. Anyway, we get jersey presentation. I'm looking at the new jersey. I'm like, mate, this is the jersey you played last week, because it's got the same rip. I fully remember it. So shit hit the fans. I'm like, mate, we're out. So I called the players, and like I said, I didn't want to be the guy to disturb this. But then I was like, wait, no one's playing this week. We're walking out. We're standing up against this one. But I want everyone's support then. I'm all right. I'm playing for the Stags and for the Highlanders. I can get him paid. You guys are not getting paid, most of the local players. So this has got to be driven by you guys, not me. Anyway, they all rahoo, and it's like, yeah, man, we go through this one, and we stood down, and Will Rugby flew over. I had a meeting with him, and then we worked that out, solved a few issues then. But then Will Rugby and Tonga Rugby that time come around and wanted to know who was in charge and who spearheaded this one. I feel for those players. I still I know exactly the players. Today, I try to forget it, but they go around and promise them, as you do with a bit of corruption around the world. They're like, mate, we'll select you next tour, guarantee. Who was in charge? Who? Tell us who did this one. So my name was just Harley T-Paul, man. We didn't want to do this. He was trying to force us not to do this one and that. Myself and the captain, Nelly Latu. So that was 2009. I got kicked out of the Tongan team 2010. Missed the World Cup 2011 in New Zealand, purely just because the governance around then thought that was unacceptable of me doing that. So I got kicked out of, I missed the World Cup then 2011 just through that.
So it's great to have high morals, right? But then when you're sitting at home watching a World Cup that you should have been playing in, was there times when you questioned yourself, like in terms of what you did, or you always knew you were on the right side of it?
No, at that time you were like, flip, why did I do this?
You're an honest man, Harley.
I could be out there running out. The first game was Eden Park, Tonga versus AB, sold out, and I sat down and watched that, just like, gutted that the players were running on. The other one, they hung me dry, But things in life work out to where I'm at the moment. Took a few bullets for Tonga. Now I'm all in for Tonga, Fiji and Samoa to continue the fight.
So tell us the role, mate, like in terms of what it is from a player's point of view. What exactly is involved? Because you're chief executive and obviously one of the founders of what's basically the Players Association through the Pacific Islands.
Yeah, after that nightmare of going through that, getting kicked out, and I reach out to NZRPA, and I say, how can we do this one, man? I feel like something can be done to protect and fight for the right of the Pacific Island. I don't want to pull down anyone, but in the rugby world here, everyone is like, take, and then don't remember where these kids are coming from, how to look after them and all that. So that is a part of my fight. But then I rung up NZRPA, Gafrina Rob, who's the CEO, copy and paste the constitutions, everything else, and then had a few good people around, Josh Blakey, got a lawyer, and they were just, by then I still didn't know, was this happening, to register, and they were like, man, by then they're talking about incorporate society, or I have no idea, today I still don't understand it, but...
That's why you put good people around you, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, so we ended up founding the player associations with, but we had to have 3 reps. Deacon Manu from Fiji, Selala Mapasua is a good friend of mine from the Highlands in Otago, for us to form the player associations. So my role, I think, to make everyone understand what we do is like any other workforce, you got a union that act and protect you and fight for you, and that's what we do from our player associations. And now it's daunting when you say CEO, because I had my title as acting CEO for about 2 years, and then my board told me to take it off.
Good stuff, mate. So a couple of things maybe to finish on. So tell us, under your watch, of course, we've seen both Fijian team and the Moana Pacifica team in Super Rugby. Has that been the jump forward in terms of Pacific Rugby that you'd hoped it would have been?
Yeah, tough couple of years for the Moana. They're still trying to work out their identity. We're helping them out. The Drua, easy because one team, they know who they are. They're based in Nandi and Fiji. But both those 2 teams come under our watch, and I've been involved from day one with both those teams to get them up running. Obviously, I'm supposed to be in Christchurch tonight to welcome the Drua and then see some of their players. Hence why when I'm up here, I'm just like everyone else out there goes, shit, who the hell is that sitting up there? So it was a bit daunting to come up. But so I'll get up tomorrow and see the players, and my role with the Drua and the Moana, whenever they, like anyone else, they sign contract or sponsorship on that, we got to tick it off as from the players to make sure they get their cut before money goes somewhere else.
And tell me, mate, political question to finish. Do you think has New Zealand Rugby done enough for Pacific Island Rugby?
It's a good step now with them supporting the 2 teams. We still feel, but it's ongoing. Right now, they needed a team for Super Rugby to operate. Now, New Zealand Rugby have to relook and say it's not just a team to fill up the schedule and make sure there's games, because we're starting to realise, because if they drop out for not be sustainable to operate, then that's going to have a massive effect on New Zealand Rugby at the moment, especially with South Africa going to Europe. So big conversation coming up with everyone, Robbo and chairmen and everyone else. So we've got to try to get it right. For so much we appreciate New Zealand Rugby's help at the moment. I think there's been more done, not just for the Pacific, but once again, if it's not working out for these 2 teams, I think the Super Rugby teams will suffer and eventually get to the ABs.
Mate, you keep up the good fight, yeah? And get down the back there and see Lester and see how the hell he found your address. Right? Ladies and gentlemen, can you put your hands together for Hale Tapolo?
Thank you very much.
And once you're finished with Lester down the back there, Rex, Hale, Rex, now you know each other, go crazy. We can fix a whole lot of stuff in this room tonight. Hale, how mean were you to... I should actually probably ask Lester this. What's your relationship with coaches? Were you good to... Nice player, respectful, listen, did your thing? Yeah? That is a wise move. Actually, hands up, who's been a coach in this room? Yeah, I thought this would happen. This is my little experiment. There's a whole bunch of us in this room tonight, so we know how hard this actually is. You have to be the one source of truth, knowing what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. Making the tough calls and keeping not only your athletes, but everyone around them on track. It's a tough gig.
Yes, it is, but we do have tonight several shining examples of great coaches who are with us in the room, and our coach of their category is brought to you by the good guys at Good Tech Team. Don't be fooled, these sponsors have been with us for many years now. It is the artist formerly known as Rico, which means that if they're anything like Prince, then they'll become a symbol next. And speaking of symbols, we get to bring up the boss of Good Tech now, the symbol himself, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rhys McDonald.
I'm looking at you guys like that going, it's kind of creepy if I say, hey, Mum and Dad, thanks for inviting me up. We're similar in age. It's awkward, but yeah, as Nick alluded to, we've gone through a change this year, which has been really, well, the last 12 months, which has been really exciting as part of the Good Tech team, formerly known as Rico. But you know how cool it's been. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what am I going to say tonight? As my wife always gives me a hard time. You never write anything down. How are you going to screw it up this year? But one of the things that I sort of sat there and thought about tonight was, so fortunate that the Good Tech team has been part of this community for 16 years that we've been trading in Invercargill, and for 16 years we've been able to support the community, and it's such an amazing feeling that I've had my business and have been able to share my success with support to lots of community organisations, and sport has been pretty close to my heart. I've played sport all my life. Surprisingly, some people don't believe that, but I still do a little bit of sport now, but a weekend warrior is how we call it. But the other thing too is I was also sitting there thinking, if you can't beat these guys, support them, and that's where I sit today as a business owner, as a local business owner, as I can't beat yous, so let's support you guys and what you're doing, and so to everybody here tonight, every athlete, every weekend warrior, I'm really proud that I've got a business that can support sport in Southland. So it's pretty close to my heart. And speaking about that, and it's slightly off topic, but it is sport, is a big shout out to everybody that helped me this year. My event around sport and cycling and raising money for the chopper, really proud, 155,000 out of the community. Awesome. So thank you, everybody, that threw a few dollars our way. We really appreciate it. But hey, it is about tonight the Good Tech Team Coach of the Year. So let's find out who these amazing people are.
Along with Cycling Southland's weekly endurance squad sessions, Julian Einarsson helped guide promising junior Marshall Irwood to 4 Oceania titles and 4 national titles on the track. Julian also coached our under-19 men's pursuit and team sprint teams to national titles, along with a number of other national medals by riders under his charge. Julian Einarsson.
As the New Zealand team coach at the Oceania Champs in Australia, Chris Knight oversaw some of New Zealand's best athletes. During the qualifying period, his athletes won gold, 2 silver and 3 bronze medals at the New Zealand Track and Field Champs, with a host of medals won at both Colgate Games competitions. Chris Knight.
As coaches of the Invercargill Gymnastic Club's Women's Artistic and Southland gymnasts at the National Championships, Vlad Sariev and Angela Sarieva have developed arguably the strongest group of local athletes for a decade. The pair have supported national representation, a national championship win and numerous South Island and regional medals, including Madison Philpott's Step 7 individual national title. Vlad Sariev and Angela Sarieva.
Experienced touch coaches Dennis Thompson and Scott Eade were instrumental in guiding the Southland Under-18 mixed touch team to a national title at the Touch Youth Nationals. Despite a limited build-up, the pairing were able to bring the squad together and build a confident attacking mindset which saw Southland overcome heavyweights including Auckland, Counties and North Harbour on the way to the title. Dennis Thompson and Scott Eade.
Yet again, congratulations to all finalists in the Good Tech Team Coach of the Year. And this year's winner is Julian Einarsson.
I'm not going to ask about that highlight that you just mentioned then. There was a little moment going on there. That's why there was a little pause in proceedings. It was quite lovely. We did see some of those things mentioned in the blurb there. But from your point of view, Julian, what's been the highlights for this year?
So outside of Reece as corporate cycling a few years ago, it's where it all sort of started. He was the inspiration as one of my first athletes. But in recent times, like over the last 12 months, we've had some great riders to work with. We've got Marshall Irwood here tonight, Magnus Jameson, Tom Kerr, those guys there at the National Championships, seeing them win the team sprint and the team's pursuit was just fantastic to see. And the way in which they push each other, because of course as a coach, as a lot of people know here, you're not just that one person, there's a whole lot of people around that are involved. So they've all done a fantastic job to ensure that we have some fantastic highlights with those guys.
Again, so humble, putting the praise to everybody else, / blame. No blame here. Do you get a feeling when you see this group of athletes that you've just mentioned, do you go, actually this could be it? You know, when does that happen? Does it give you the tingle still?
Oh, absolutely. I think as a coach, somebody asked us just recently some similar things about the results, but it's more about the process and how they execute that, and it's a lot of the little things off the bike as well as on the bike that you get just as excited about, and we often talk about it with the team from the academy as well, with Jason and those guys and out there about all those little things and out there, and a lot of people don't realise those sort of things that are happening. And of course, the cherry on the top is if they do end up on that podium, that's fantastic as well. But we know that's all the hard yards that have been put in behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Now, I'm sure most people will be aware of this. You're also a school principal. There's a lot going on in the education sector at the minute. Isn't there one or two things?
It's a little bit busy.
Yeah, tiny bit.
Yeah.
So my question is, where does the time come from? How do you squeeze this in? Is it your stress relief? What is it for you? How much does it mean?
It depends on the athletes. And there's one athlete in this room here tonight that creates a little bit of stress for me at times. But no, it's...
Name and shame.
But no, it's a nice outlet, and that to have something outside of the actual real job, and that's because very much as a volunteer coach, and that's you just love giving back to the sport, and it's been something I was literally born into, and it didn't have a lot of options, and that's there in terms of that's the one that was just leading me all the way through, and it's just fantastic just to give it back, and I've got a very patient, caring family that allow me to do that.
What's next, Coach? What's going on? Next dream?
We'd like you all back here next Friday for a fundraiser for the Junior World Championships. So if you'd like to see us with tickets here tonight, we've got Dougal Allen, multiple winner, of course, and that's with the Coast to Coast, and he's going to he's Emirates Team New Zealand. So we're fundraising for the likes of Marshall and for Magnus Jameson, two fine athletes and that who have got a serious chance of really challenging at the world level. They're going to Cali in Colombia, and they're busy trying to fundraise $20,000. So they've just come up through the ranks. They do an outstanding job, and that's with their dedication to the sport and that there. And so that's the big one on the cards that's coming up for those guys. And I'm just one small part of a massive team that's in behind them to make sure that they have a successful trip.
You may think you're a small part. We think you're absolutely amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate with me again our Good Tech Team Coach of the Year.
Outstanding stuff. Well done, Julian. And outstanding to see. And of course, this wonderful history from a cycling point of view, and we'll see more of that coming in our categories still to come from a junior and senior sports person of the year. So I think I'm right in saying, is it a 9-person team going to Cali? And of those, of course, 3 from the Deep South. So just really fantastic to see. So we are going to now move to the team of the year, and both, of course, our finalists and our category sponsor tonight exemplify how success can be achieved when everybody is pulling together, heading in the same direction. Just like my Sharky boys on Monday night against the Nuggets. How good was that, eh? Gave them a right royal thumping. Of course, it's a school night for the boys because we're playing tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. So just to follow in Julian's footsteps, tickets available tomorrow at ILT Stadium Southland for that one as well. So boys, get home nice and quick after this, all right? We've got work to do tomorrow night up against Taranaki. But fantastic to now move into the teams section.
Yeah, let's go back to the team of the year section to tell us who else is making the dream work through teamwork. That's a dad joke. I stole his line. Let's welcome Rick Morrell to present the Southland Kia Team of the Year.
Mum and Dad, thank you very much. Active Southland, thanks again for, this has been probably over a decade now that we're presenting this award, and it's an award that's pretty close to my heart. I mean, you know, there's an old cliche that a champion team will beat a team of champions, and I think over the years we've built up a champion team over here, and I think that we've presented some incredible teams over the years with this award, and it is a really special award. I'd just quickly say to the band, what an awesome job. I grew up next door to these people, grew up next door to the fiddler. Jesus. Sorry, Stephen. But he really was. We were about 9 or 10, and we were introduced to what a team was really about. And under a bit of pressure, we were down on the beach in an old raft had washed in, and we sort of put a deck on it and put it together and found a couple of oars, and decided we were going to go across to the other side of the harbour, and it was all going good, and we're singing a couple of songs and paddling away, and all of a sudden the tide turned, and she goes out there at about 7 knots, and that's bloody hard paddling for an 11-year-old, and you know, things got a bit worse when one of the oars broke, and so we improvised and we started passing the oar to each other, and we sped up towards the entrance of the harbour, and shit, once you get out there, she's pretty much all over. So we sort of had a team meeting and then improvised again, and we decided to drop the anchor. Maybe that would hold us, but we didn't put enough rope on, and we sped up and a few more knots, and then we decided, it was quite a big decision, but we decided to leave the raft and try and swim to the side. We were getting pretty close to the entrance to that stage, and if you've ever been to Curio Bay, you know the waves get pretty big. And anyway, Hazer jumps in, he's got his glasses on, his gumboots, and I thought, shit. So, and I didn't really want to be on the raft by myself, so I jumped in. I had my gumboots on too, but we'd swim sort of 5 metres towards the shore and then go 10 metres the other way, but we actually made it, and we come ashore together, and I think that's what a team's all about. It's about getting home together, so we made it. A few people were pissed off we made it, but we got there. But enough of that. If we could look at the finalists for the Southland Kia Team of the Year.
When Ricky Griffin handpicked a Southland team for this year's Coast to Coast, he was hoping they would be able to put a performance together in the 3-man Masters competition in the 2-day event. Instead, the team of Ricky, Mike White and Dwight Grieve dominated every other 3-person, 2-person and tandem team, winning outright by more than 45 minutes. The Southern Lads, Coast to Coast.
Backing up from their win at the previous national 3x3 tournament, the Sharks lineup of Dom Kalman-Poto, Alonzo Burton, Drew Leo Leasangiapi and Tom Cowie successfully defended their title on the home court against the best basketball talent in New Zealand. Drew Leo was also named the tournament MVP, and he and Alonzo were both named in the tournament's All-Star 4. The Southland Sharks 3x3.
No one north of the Old Coach Road really thought Southland had a chance of winning the New Zealand Under-18 Mixed Touch title in Christchurch this year. Well, the Dennis Thompson and Scott Eade coached underdogs finished the tournament unbeaten after playing 11 games in 3 days, culminating with a 6-5 come-from-behind win over Waikato in the final. The Southland Under-18 Mixed Touch team.
After 2 years without a national tournament due to COVID, Southland made a winning return to the national scene with victory in the New Zealand Hockey Championships 2nd Division in September. With the team selected from just 4 senior teams, the squad featured 2 17-year-olds and a 45-year-old, but their combined attitude, work ethic and skill level couldn't be beaten. The Southland Women's Hockey Team.
Geez, this is appropriate. The winner of the 2023 Southland Kia Team of the Year award is the Southern Lads.
Well done, Ricky. Now, where's your other two mates? Well, we know where Dwight is. He's probably asleep now in Austria. So you, Whitey, and obviously Dwight, that is some phenomenal achievement. What do you think when you sort of reflect back on that performance on the coast to coast?
Yeah, look, Yep, I'm just really overwhelmed to be here and getting this. We were super stoked at how well we went. We had two really good days, and it sort of started right from the get-go at the gun. I was standing next to Richie McCaw on the start line, and
you mean Richie was standing next to you?
He was standing next to me, towering over me, and I was a first five and like the under 69 kilo sort of team at school, and but I sort of elbowed him out of the way off once the gun went and got in front, and
he's got soft since he's finished footy. Actually, he has, yeah,
and didn't look back, and yeah, we just gave it everything, and yeah, the two other guys, Whitey and Dwight, they're absolute animals. I don't know anyone here who's ridden against Mike White will know just what a powerhouse he is. And yeah, Dwight's an animal. The only thing he loves more than running is beer and coffee. And yeah, so it's just that old adage that was talked about earlier tonight of if you sort of want to do well, surround yourself with good people, and that's what I did.
Mate, honestly, absolutely fantastic. In fact, I'm right in saying, so you blokes were actually literally the first across the line, right? And on the 2-day event, you were the guys that actually, cut the tape, literally, right? How amazing is that?
Yeah, correct. No, that was cool. And when we, I guess, first decided to put a team in, we wanted to do well, and well in our minds was to win the Masters category of our division. But we kind of all secretly thought it would be pretty cool to break the tape at Brighton and be the first across the country. And there's over 1,000 competitors, so it's quite a few people behind us, so we thought that'd be pretty awesome. And we didn't know where we were until Mike actually came running up the sandy finish. So we knew we were sort of in the top 4 or 5 from where we'd come out of the kayak, but yeah, you sort of lost touch with actually how it was going until the very end. So when we saw him come around the corner in first place, yeah, Dwight and I sort of erupted and ran up with him, and it was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, no question. The pictures and the video is just awesome, mate. So your only problem is what you do now. So how do you top that, eh?
Yeah. No, very true. Yeah, we have decided to go back actually.
Have you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a big wait list these days, but we're first at the top of the wait list right now. So we thought we'll go back if we can maybe try and get the fastest time overall, because there's actually 2 elite guys that beat us in the single longest day, which testament to them how awesome are they going that they can do that.
So what sort of time you got to make up?
We got to make up about 14 minutes.
That's
and we can do it. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good stuff, mate. So I mean, tell me, just give us a little bit of a sense about, from a training point of view, how much work put into that, or goes into that, right?
So I know Dwight was doing like 120k a week on the feet running. Yeah, it's for any runners in here, you'll know that that's pretty hard on the body. I know Mike did a panic 120k day on the bike about 2 days before the race.
So he came in fresh.
He came in super fresh.
Okay.
Yeah, the reverse taper.
Good.
Yeah.
And what are you doing on the water?
Yeah, I'm doing, I don't know, maybe, well, Janine will tell us. How much was I doing on the water, hun?
Lots.
Heaps.
Hours.
Yeah.
No, good stuff, mate. It's a phenomenal achievement, and winning the thing is one thing, but to do it and blitz your nearest team by 45 minutes is just phenomenal. How about you give it up for Ricky Griffin, folks, and the Southern lads?
Thanks.
Yeah, mate, I know. That 120k a week, my hips are killing me. Right, well done all. Thank you very much for that. That actually really was an incredible effort. I don't even know what else to say about that. So I think what we should do in honour of that remarkable effort and all of those kilometres that they achieved is we should have dessert. Because that's where I come good. This is where I'm going to peak. So a delightful tray of desserts will be headed your way. Tea and coffee are also available. And coming up, the Junior and Senior Sports Person of the Year, and we'll meet back here.